धरती, धन्य हुए माता पिता। चंद्रामणि खुदीराम ने पाया, तीन जगत का त्राता। धन्य हुई भारत की धरती, धन्य हुए माता पिता। धन्य हुई भारत की धरती, धन्य हुए माता पिता। धन्य हुई भारत की धरती, धन्य हुए माता पिता। धन्य हुई भारत की धरती, धन्य हुए माता पिता।
नमस्श्री यतिराजाय विवेकानन्दसूरये सच्चित्सुखस्वरूपाय स्वामिने तापहारिणे। The weather is very nice, salubrious weather. The sky is overcast. This is comparatively a recent phenomenon. Till afternoon there would be bright sunshine, a lot of heat, and by evening clouds come. We feel very pleasant. In my childhood we used to see summer means summer. For 2 months you won't get to see a cloud. But things have changed. So our all merciful Father is showering His grace. This kind of weather is a proof that God is very kind. So today's topic, you have seen it on the screen, I think. Say no to mammon worship. Say no to mammon worship. This word mammon is a biblical term used by Jesus in Bible. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate one and love the other, or else you will be loyal to one and despise the other. you can't serve God and mammon. I think that is the statement in Bible. You can't serve God and mammon. No one can serve two masters. We have got only one mind. Either you have to meditate on matter or on God. There are only two things. These two things are also not really two, according to Advaita. The matter or the manifestation that we see, the world of name and form, is only an appearance. Right? It is not real. But if at all you have to see it, you have to see it as an expression of the spirit. That's what actually Vishishta Advaita says. Everything is God's vibhuti, God's manifestation, God's expression. There's a better way of looking at things. But the highest reading is, there is nothing like world of name and form. It's all just an appearance in the fictitious projection called mind. Mind itself is a fictitious entity. So anything projected in the fictitious must obviously be a fictitious thing. So it has no reality whatsoever. There is nothing other than God, there is nothing other than consciousness. It is the assertion of a Kevala Advaitin. So Advaitin, they don't want to come down one step. They don't want to give cognizance to the world. They don't want to give cognizance to the mind. Mind, there is no such thing as mind. As you don't experience the world in deep sleep, wakeful state also it doesn't exist. Because you have volition, because you have desire, because you have ego sense, mind appears with the mind. The world of name and form actually appears for you. Otherwise, there is no world, there is no universe, there is no mind. When there is no mind, there is no suffering. There is no joy also. When you go beyond suffering and joy, you are in bliss. You are in super consciousness. See, I am in bondage. It is an idea. It's a notion in the mind. I have to make myself liberated. Again, it is also an idea, a notion in the mind. I am in bondage. I am bound. It is an idea. I have to become liberated. Again, it is an idea. The mind is the source of all ideas. When mind itself is unreal, where is the question of liberation and where is the question of your, being in bondage? You are eternally mukta. You are eternally liberated. But it is from very high platform, very high plane. When you think actually, there is only consciousness, there is only God. But we are not that pure to understand and to comprehend that world is an illusion, world is just an appearance. For us, world is more or less real. What is unreal for us today is consciousness is unreal, God is unreal. So yes, so how are we to look at the world? And our philosophy says that if you objectify the universe, if you look at universe as universe, if you think as universe as a world of objects, concrete objects that have a definite reality, then definitely it becomes very difficult for us to cross the samsara or maya. So the highest reading is, there is nothing other than God, there is nothing other than consciousness. One step down, look at the world as a manifestation of or expression of the divine. It is real for us, right? Only the world of five senses alone is real for us. That which is beyond senses is completely unreal for us. It is not at all in our experience. But our philosophy says that alone is real. What senses bring to you, what the knowledge actually the mind brings to you is totally unreal, because mind itself is a fictitious entity. Mind itself is based on ego sense. Ego actually is an unreal entity. It's a ghost, it's a fiction. And that's actually the stand that they take. But today what are we doing? Our educational system, from the childhood, the upbringing, everything you look at, we are made to meditate on matter. We are made to cogitate on matter. The world of name and form is so real, so tangible. So this is the only thing, the make best of it. Nobody says that the world is unreal. We don't even get to hear it. And we go to schools and colleges, right? Nobody will ever say the statement and then, then you have to explain. You have to make people understand the meaning of the statements. You have to support your statement with logical arguments. But no such thing happens with us, right? The world of name and form is so real for us. The knowledge that the senses bring is so real for us. Naturally, God becomes unreal. You can't make the two entities real at the same time. If God is unreal, the world becomes real. If the world is real, God becomes unreal. Today for us the world is real, and so God has become almost unreal. It's a kind of belief, they said, it's belief. What is your God? It's your belief, your idea. Okay, you may subscribe to a scripture. You are born into a faith, so that is your belief, that is your idea, that is your faith. But here in Sanatana Dharma, we are not talking about any faith. It is just pure science. What they say is, as you have given cognizance to the mind, you have to give cognizance to the universe also. So when you give cognizance to the universe, that becomes real for you. And when universe becomes real for you, the entity that has created the universe, the entity that's behind the universe becomes unreal. Because you can't perceive two things simultaneously, right? As you perceive the universe, the world of name and form, we won't perceive God. You will miss God. That's why Jesus said that you can't worship God and mammon. Mammon means here material things. Mammon means riches. Why do we need riches? Because we understand we have the physical body and we have to provide comfort to the physical body. That is our understanding of life. As much comfort to the physical body as possible. The greater the comfort that you can provide, the greater the enjoyment that we can have in life. So this is the idea with which we proceed. But that is actually mammon worship according to Jesus and of course according to all other spiritual philosophies also. So what they ask us, withdraw from the world of name and form, but the mind, when you close your eyes also during meditation, what happens? Mind is only meditating on objects. It is projecting objects constantly. That is its nature. Mind derives its existence only through such cogitation. When you inquire into the nature of the mind, how it survives, how it exists, what is its nature, you just inquire what it is doing there. It is projecting objects, projecting names and forms constantly. And because it is deeply rooted in the body, and it asks us to seek this, to seek that, go for this, go for that, get this and get that for me, I have to enjoy. You have to derive happiness, you have to derive joy. Why are you here like that? Work, go for it, the mind says. It is cogitating on the world of objects. It derives its existence through such cogitation. Sans that cogitation, bereft of that cogitation, mind cannot exist. Mind has to project things. Mind has to objectify consciousness. Mind has to make the world of name and form real for its survival, for its existence. The moment you keep on cutting it down, saying no meditation on objects, all objects are unreal, you keep on saying this to mind continuously, nip it off in the birth stage. As soon as the thought of an object comes, you just push it aside. And constantly you do like after some time, the mind knows that actually you have understood that the mind has no real existence of its own. And then it disappears. When the ghost disappears, you will experience God, you will experience superconsciousness. Sri Ramakrishna gives the example of this onion. You keep on peeling it, layer after layer, layer after layer. What will remain in the end? There is no central rind, there is no pitta, it's empty. Right? Like banana, plantain stem. It's only made of leaves. You just peel off leaf after leaf, leaf after leaf. Nothing will be in the end, only leaves. Similarly, the world is empty. Only this cogitation of mind makes it solid, substantial and real. And that has become habit with the mind because it has to survive after all. Anything in this creation, nothing wants to die, right? Mind actually, the fictitious entity, has come into existence. It has to survive. How it survives? Through cogitation, through meditation on objects, making the objects real. This cogitation only makes the objective world real for us. And that's how actually it works, that's how it derives its existence. So a man who wants God, what he has to do? He has to see the world as expression of the divine. You have to superimpose God on everything you see. Swamiji, in his lecture, God in Everything, actually, it's a commentary for the first mantra of Ishavasya Upanishad. Ishavasya midam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. Okay. Cover everything that you see in this universe with God. Superimpose. Defy. What you will gain by that? In the beginning you see it as matter only. But by constantly meditating and by constantly superimposing, the matter actually will go away. In place of matter, you will experience and you will see only consciousness. That's why Swamiji says, history of civilization is progressive reading of matter into spirit. What is human civilization? What is the progress of human civilization? Which civilization you can call it a progressive civilization. In the beginning, you see the world as name and form. You see the world as objects. The objective universe is real, but through superimposing God gradually and regularly, you will remove material world, you will remove matter, and you will see there consciousness or God. How did Vivekananda see? How Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa experienced the universe? The whole universe got dissolved, one homogeneous consciousness. From that state, when they came down, so it all just, whole universe appeared like painting on a canvas. See, for us actually, we are not able to see the canvas. For us, this world of objects is so real, so tangible. For all mystics, after experiencing the truth when they came down, the world appeared just like, picture on a canvas. They are able to see the canvas and the picture. And so suppose they see the individuals. They don't see the individuals as individuals. They see the consciousness behind also, God behind also. So this is, God alone is real. The consciousness alone is real. The name and form is unreal. It is just only on the surface. So they will be able to see both simultaneously, the projection and also the reality that projects it. But for us, the projection alone is real because we have identified with the projection here, namely the body. And so we see outside also the same projection, and that projection becomes real and this projection becomes real. And there is no scope for us actually in that way to experience the spirit as spirit. So you can't serve both, two masters, God and mammon. That's the reason you have to withdraw the mind from the world of objects. Money is important, material things are important, but don't make them too important. There are three kinds of people in this world. The first class, for them money is everything. Money and material things are everything. The second class, for them money and material things are something. The third class, for them money and material things are nothing. First category of people, for them money and material things are everything. For the second category, money, okay, it's important, so it is something. For the third category of people, the highest people, okay, for them money and material things are nothing. God alone is real. So money and material things become real, God becomes unreal. For example, Sri Ramakrishna, Thaka Mati, he took coin in his hand, he took a little clay in his hand, and both he held in his hands like this. Thaka Mati, said in Bengali. So, Thaka means money. Money and clay, both are one and the same. So he just threw it into Ganges. For him, both are one and the same. There is absolutely no difference. So, and also he didn't touch money in his lifetime. But he had the highest experience of life. For him, the moment you touch money, the human touch material things, the mind becomes real. Mind becomes concretized. The unreal takes the shape, unreal survives. The mind becomes concretized. The unreal actually becomes almost real. For us, actually, it has become almost real. So he doesn't want to make an unreal entity a reality. And that's why he never touched money. It's not necessary. It's only consciousness. It's only consciousness. So his soul actually would swing between the absolute and the relative. So bhava samadhi state. Even to grasp intellectually also it is so difficult for us. The experiences that he had undergone, the experience of consciousness of bliss. So they never bother to explain, because only when we get to that experience we understand it. At least a glimmer, at least a little of that experience when you have, we will be able to fathom, we will be able to understand the greatness of such personalities or such individuals. Ramana Maharshi, he actually just adopted the path of inquiry. So he was always in bliss. But what was his state? I cannot understand intellectually unless I get to that experience. So to get to that experience, what I have to do? I also need to inquire into my real nature, into the nature of mind. Because the experience of pain and pleasure, what is the source of pain and pleasure? It's the mind. So what is mind? Do we ever ask this question to ourselves? What is its nature? From where it springs up? How it exists? How it survives? No. That is the only thing which we are not doing. So in Yoga Vasishta, that's why this inquiry, the path of inquiry, is stressed so much. Again and again, sage Vasishta insists actually, Rama, inquire into the nature of the mind. you will understand, you will find for yourself that it is fictitious, it doesn't have a substance, it doesn't have an original existence of its own. Because when you are not focusing on mind, how it survives, how it creates the universe for us, how it brings a painful experience, how it brings a pleasurable experience, okay, it becomes almost a reality for us. That's what mind does. It doesn't want us to ponder on it. It doesn't want us to look into it. It wants us to look outside. So we think all these experiences that mind brings for us are real, and we suffer helplessly. And sage Vasishta narrates a story, the story of forest, to Rama. He says that all these ideas, that these are notions in your mind, that I am in bondage is a notion, I want to liberate myself, that is also a notion. So when you go beyond the mind, all notions, all thoughts, you will have that super consciousness, you will experience the truth. There was a huge forest. The forest was so huge, it ran into thousands and thousands of square miles. There was one person in that forest who had many limbs, many hands. And one of his hand, he was holding a mace club. So what he would do, he would beat himself with that mace, and then he would weep. And then in panic, in fright, he will run away. He was doing like that, and he fell into a blind well. He fell into a deep ditch. Then he came out of it. Again he beat himself. And again, for fears that he would be beaten, he started running away in panic. And this time, he entered into a thorny forest. There, because all thorny bushes were there, his whole body got actually lacerated, and still he was running in panic. For what? For fear that the person who is holding, he only is holding the club, he only beating him up. For fear that he would be beaten up, he was running in panic. So this time he ran into a thorny forest. So again, actually, he was weeping and wailing and weeping and wailing. Then he came across another gentleman, a sage. He said, "Why are you running away like this in panic? Can't you see that this man is beating me with this club? Who is that man? You alone are here. You alone are holding the club. You alone are beating yourself. And then you are running in panic. You are running in fright." No, but that man did not listen to this sage. And he said he made him an enemy. No, you don't know. You don't know anything about me. I am in fear because somebody is beating me with club. No. You are only holding the club in one of the hands. And you fear yourself. You are only beating yourself. And you are running away in panic. So he wanted to enlighten him. Don't beat because the club you are holding in your own hand. Drop the club. But he doesn't listen. No, he made this wise sage an enemy. And you don't know anything. He ran away. Now he came across another person. Same thing. He also actually had many limbs. He was also wielding a club in his hand. He was beating himself up. Why are you beating yourself up? Okay, with your own club, you are holding in your own hands this club and you are beating yourself up. This is madness. This is insanity. He tried to tell him. He tried to enlighten him. Okay, look at yourself. He tried to tell him. But that man also did not listen. Rather, he abused this sage. You don't know anything. My condition you cannot understand. My plight you cannot understand. My suffering you cannot understand. You cannot even empathize with me, sympathize with me. How cruel you are. Saying like that, this man also ran away. So this sage came across many such people who had many limbs. They were wielding the club in their hands and they were beating themselves up, and then they were running in panic and running in fright, and they were weeping and wailing. A few people heard him. Oh, is it that? Oh, yeah, all these are my hands only. I am only wielding the club in one of my hand. How foolish it is of me to beat myself up with my own hand. So he dropped the club and then he became peaceful. And sage Vasishta told this story to Rama and said, the man with multiple limbs holding a club in one of his hands is this mind, right? He said that forest is this world, this samsara. Once actually after the thorny bush forest actually entered into a banana grove. Then he said that banana grove, there he felt little comfort for some days, and again he entered into any forest with thorny bushes. So this banana grove actually is a kind of heaven. We have little happiness, little joy, little pleasure in this world. Without that little joy and little pleasure, everybody would develop deep dispassion. The one reason we don't develop that dispassion or vairagya required to inquire into our own real being to follow the spiritual path truly is this little joy and little pleasure that is available for us from this world. As we have discussed here many times, that little pleasure or joy is also part of the temptation that God has created, God has kept. Had it not been there, everybody would develop vairagya and everybody would become an enlightened sage. But that is not His plan. Nobody should get realization. God doesn't want us to quickly realize the truth. You have to struggle, and then in the end, after many births, you will try to look into the nature of truth. The spiritual teachings, actually, people, they don't relish at the very beginning of life. You have to have many experiences, sufficient blows, number of blows. When you have had enough number of blows only, then we will come to spirituality and philosophy. What is the nature of the world? Why there is suffering? Is there a God? Why did God create such an imperfect world? These questions, the way actually the questions agitated Vivekananda, in the same way we get those questions and then we become a little serious about God and truth. Now also we get that thought, what is God actually? Why such an imperfect world? Why there is so much of suffering in the world? But temporarily the question will come and then again the question will disappear from our minds, right? Not that we take up the question and we become very serious. No, I want to have the answer for this question. No, the deepening of the question doesn't happen with us because the world will engage us for many births to come. And we think there is a lot of happiness, there is a lot of pleasure that is in store for us here in this world. And everybody believes that. I don't have this, I don't have that because this man is not cooperating with me, that woman is not cooperating with me, I don't have job, I don't have wealth, that's the reason I am suffering. When I get this, I will have, happiness and joy. This hope is actually such a thing. We hope against hope. Birth after birth, birth after birth. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam, right? It happens actually. But this hope will never leave people. The hope actually is the thing actually that brings us, a new birth, a reincarnation. So this goes on and goes on and goes on. Bahunam janmanam ante jnanavan mam prapadyate. After many births, dispassion comes upon the individual. This world is hollow. There is no true joy here, true happiness is. There is a semblance of joy, there is semblance of happiness. Not that there is no happiness or joy, but that is only a semblance of happiness. Apparently little joy is there, but that is only part of the game, right? It's the temptation. And when you understand that this is temptation, there is no substantial joy here, there is no true ananda here, a little ananda, little joy is there, then the individual develops dispassion. What is the nature of the world? Why should I stick? Why should I crave for things in this world when I don't get really the expected happiness? I expect so much but I don't get it. Why I don't get the expected happiness? Why I get disappointed again and again? Why this world disappoints me constantly? Is it worth pursuing these goals? Is it worth pursuing these desires? Is there any human being who is so happy, really happy, totally happy? Cannot be, because there is a death, there is old age, there is disease. Fundamental limitations on life. Apart from that, okay, there is a death, okay, after some time it will happen after 80 years or 90 years, it's okay. At least these 8 years let me enjoy life. Afterwards I prepare myself to death. There is no such thing. Even this brief period also, there is so many ups and downs, so much of suffering, so much of struggle, right? It's like a huge burden, right? So much of turmoil, so much of conflict, how many responsibilities, how much of suffering is there. At least if this is life and death, actually there is enjoyment, there is happiness, there is joy. I don't have to worry about old age because that happens after 60. Death anyway is inevitable. No such thing. Suffering is there even for a child. You just see LKG child is long-faced. There's so much of homework, right? Is there any joy? LKG child is also long-faced and morose, right? There is no joy. Child will be happy naturally, but actually we will not, because we are not happy, we don't want the child also to remain happy, right? We are jealous of children. So we have to give them homework and we have to torture them, teachers, parents together, right? So that's why the children are also now, you don't find the joy in their faces. Otherwise you leave them just as, and they will be happy and full of life. So this happens after long, much time has to elapse. Many number of births we have to undergo, experience. After sufficient number of experiences, a little dispassion dawns on the individual. Then you will relish these spiritual teachings. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that how worldly-minded people, worldliness and worldly-minded people, how they understand, how they think. Just as water passes under a bridge, from one side actually it enters and through other side it leaves. Any amount of spiritual counseling, it doesn't create any impression there. Through one ear they listen and through other ear let it go. Okay, these spiritual teachings, they don't get rooted in the minds of the people who are worldly, he would say. Like the kamandalu, ketabla of the sadhu, it remains bitter always because it is made with a bottle gourd, a little bitterness will be there. So inside, he may use it all the chardham, all the pilgrimage places, but still, because that is his nature. Like that, the nature of the worldly minded person is such that the spiritual teaching, they don't get rooted. They don't create any impress upon the mind of such an individual, because the predominant samskara is worldly samskara, so it takes time. And many people come and tell me that, Swamiji, I am reading, but I forget, definitely, oh, you don't relish it. I don't feel like reading it again. Yes, there is so much of worldly samskara, not acquired in this birth, but acquired in past births also. So that will resist. It doesn't allow us to absorb the spiritual teachings that quickly, but you have to endeavor. You have to persevere in your attempts. Sadhana also you have to do. Slowly the worldly samskara gets replaced with this spiritual samskara. As the spiritual samskara's quantity gets increased, the content of the spiritual samskara increases, slowly you experience the joy and peace of the spiritual bliss you will get. So, here, so this dispassion will come to us after experiencing joys and sorrows in this world for many a birth. And then we will relish these spiritual teachings, and then sadhana, real sadhana, begins for us. So when they say that you can't worship God and mammon, God is, let us say, is eastward journey, is Godward journey. But today actually we are making a westward journey. That is journey into money, matter and material things. If you want to progress towards the east, so you have to turn your direction, right? There is no option for us. Neither I want to go towards the east nor I want to go towards the west. I just want to be here in between. No, you can't sit on the fence. Either you have to meditate on matter or you have to meditate on God. You have no other choice. There is only one instrument, that is mind. If it is meditating on matter, it cannot meditate on God. If it is thinking about only worldly things, worldly objects, worldly desires, worldly goals and worldly attainments, that mind cannot meditate on God. So you have to withdraw the mind a little from this meditation on worldly objects and worldly things. I said that money is important, but you just see Sri Ramakrishna, for him money is nothing actually. Okay? For somebody it is everything, but you can't make it everything. If you want to be spiritual, okay, we have some material needs, we have to satisfy them, we have some secular responsibilities. So money should be something, that's all. But slowly you withdraw and you relish spiritual sadhana so much that money and material things should become nothing for you, just as it had become for Sri Ramakrishna. Right? Bible, Jesus says that life is not just, food and clothing. Therefore, I say to you, says, don't worry what I will eat, what I will drink. And don't worry about your body, what I shall put on. Is not life more than food and drink? Is not body more than just clothing? He says, you just look at birds in the air. They don't sow, they don't reap, they don't gather into barns. But your heavenly Father provides for even these birds. Are you not of more value than these birds? Something like this he says. So God is providing for, you just see birds, they don't sow, they don't reap, right? We labor and toil. Your heavenly Father knows that you need basic necessities. You have some basic necessities because you are identified with the body and you have physical needs. And He will provide for them as much as that you need. He will not provide more than what you really need. You don't have to worry so much about these basic necessities of life. You don't have to worry so much, he says. But today you just see our education systems are structured in such a way. How I live, how I live. How I have to make my living, how I have to make my living. Only one goal, only one objective. No animal is worried so much as a human being if you just look at it. That's why he says you need to have faith. He will provide for you and it is His responsibility. God is after all Father and Mother, and who else is providing? He has provided us with the soil, He has provided with air, He has provided with water, He has provided with the sun. Actually, everything He has given, He is only providing for us. In between, actually, we make a mess of things, that's all. Okay, everything He only has provided. Have we created anything? We are just taking from the universe, right? Universe is not our making. Then God is only providing us. He is the Father. So why are you so worried about these basic necessities of life? He knows what we need, because after all, we are His children. So we need to have faith. But now, of course, we are not drawn in a bar actually. What material standard of life I have to live? Okay, there is no end to this. More luxury, more luxury, more luxury. And so that is more success. If you have the maximum luxury, maximum comfort, that money will bring you. And that you compare yourself with neighbor, yes, I have become more successful than you. No, but that is not the way to lead life. There are higher purpose. There is a higher objective for life. That is to see God, that is to know our Father, that is to know our Creator. And that will happen only through spiritual sadhana. And the spiritual sadhana you will be able to do only when your material desires are limited. You have unlimited material desires and yet you want to have God. It's not possible. That's the reason dispassion is a necessary prerequisite. This is enough for me, contentment. And then, as you have not much of material craving, you will be able to use your mind to meditate on God. The mind is fully preoccupied with material thoughts and material things. Can that meditate on God? It's not possible. So you cannot serve two masters. You can't serve mammon and God. So you have to withdraw yourself from the world as much as possible, as much as that lies in your power. We don't have the vairagya of Buddha, we don't have the vairagya of Sri Ramakrishna, we don't have the vairagya of Ramana Maharshi. He only wore a kaupina, loin cloth, for entire life. That was his position. Not even full clothing, like us. Okay? Only one loin cloth, kaupina, for entire life. And he had the highest experience of life. Sri Ramakrishna also would wear only one dhoti. That also would not stay on his body. It would keep dropping. And then again he would try to put it. Right? He had no body consciousness, right? This is my body. He was experiencing spirit. He was experiencing the bliss of consciousness. He was in God, intoxicated with God all the time. So, we have to lead at least a life of contentment. Whatever that God has given me is more than sufficient, to continue this Deha Yatra. Okay, the sojourn of the body will take place as long as the prarabdha is there. So I don't have to worry, I have no craving for more, because the life is limited, right? It's limited time. All the time is invested only for this properties, material things, money, and where is the time left for you to meditate on God, to think about God? That's why our sages has said that, Durlabham manusho janma. It's very difficult to get a human birth. You have got that precious gift from God. Make good use of it. Do spiritual sadhana. Think of God. Talk of God. Meditate on God. Sing God's praises. Read scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Yoga Vashishta. Just in the beginning it becomes a little difficult to relish, but once you relish, there's nothing like that. The mind gradually gets soaked with the thought of God. And then constantly as you are remembering God, meditating God, thinking about God, talking of God, repeating God's name, a mind that is completely soaked with the thought of consciousness will merge in consciousness. Antakalecha mameva smaran muktva kalevaram iha prayati samadbhavam yati nasti atra samshayaha. So you have to fill up the mind with the thought of God. For that only sadhana is required. If you don't do this, other thing will happen. What is the other thing? This way you can't satisfy God and mammon. And also, you can't keep the mind empty. It has to either meditate on money and material things, or it has to meditate on God. A mind that is not meditating on God will invariably, by default, meditates only on material things. It has to do something. It has to do this or that. Now we know what it is doing. So this effort is required, sadhana is required, will is required to turn the mind towards God. That's why we talk about satsanga. What are we doing now? It's just satsanga. Okay? You think about God, slowly some thought will get, into the subconscious mind, thought of God, constant listening, constant thinking. So that's why our scriptures again and again say, talk of this satsanga and avoid the company of worldly people. Many people tell our devotees, say, Swami, whichever gathering, social gathering I go, whichever marriage, everybody is talking about properties, and also only thing is, how much you have, how much I have, only comparison. How much of property you have earned, everywhere the same talk. So avoid that company. They won't understand spirituality. They are like hard rock. If you put a hard rock in water, will it get, water will be able to soak the hard rock? No. You can't push the spiritual thought into their mind. The better thing is you avoid the company of such people. Okay, they will come to spirituality afterwards. Okay, first, Uddhareda Atmanatmanam. You try to uplift yourself by yourself. Don't worry about their spiritual welfare. And there are some people who actually come to the mutt, and then now they started relishing, spiritual talks and discourses, and they read, spiritual literature, and they want to spiritualize everybody. And they keep giving these books to them, and I ask, you read, you're a worldly man, you don't know this is the purpose of life, and nobody will listen to you. Immediate family members won't listen to you, and they think you are a crazy guy. So don't attempt, you will get frustrated. Why they don't listen, actually, this is the purpose of life. No. The time is there. They will also come the way you have come, but there is time. Don't try to spiritualize the entire universe. It is not in the Creator's agenda. He wants to spiritualize, but very slowly. They will also come. Let them have a little more blows, and then afterwards they will come. So it's not possible to spiritualize the entire world overnight. Kalena Atmani Vindati. In course of time, everybody will come to God. To come the full circle, it takes little time. God doesn't want to give liberation overnight. They have to have the experiences. They have to understand by themselves that the world is really hollow. There is no true happiness here. And then when Vairagya comes, they will relish these things. So our philosophy asks us basically to become nothing, right? This ego sense or this individuality or this mind are fictitious. When you drop this, you become everything. You become the infinite. But to become nothing, actually, we are afraid. We think because nothing is zero. But we need to understand that when ego sense is removed, that nothing is not zero, that nothing is infinite. So as we don't understand that, people are not prepared to let go their ego. Rather, we want to fatten the ego through all those things. I want power, I want money. Why? You want to fatten up the ego. That gives you a kick, that gives you some sense of satisfaction, some sense of achievement. That's the reason people are, longing for these things, and they strive hard to attain these things. But after long experiences, you understand the culprit for all the suffering is my own ego sense, my own individuality. As Sri Ramakrishna would say, I and mine is ignorance. And for an individual to come to this conclusion, it takes a lot of time. Many experiences are needed. So up till then, we will be thinking that other extraneous agencies are responsible for my suffering. Individuals are responsible. I don't have money, that is why I'm suffering. I don't have wealth, that's why I'm suffering. All these conclusions will come. No, you are not suffering because of any of these reasons. An individual suffers only because of this ego sense. You drop that, you are in nirvana, you are in bliss, you are in ananda. But to drop that ego sense, you have to intuitively sense that once that is dropped, there is super consciousness behind and beyond. Without that understanding, you won't be able to drop this, because you think it is nothing, it's self-annihilation. The mind creates fear, but this is fictitious fear. The mind creates fear, but you need to understand that fear is also not real, that fear is fictitious. The condition is like this, the Maya is such difficulty to comprehend it intellectually. Only when you let go your identification with body and mind, you will experience God. And only after experiencing God, you will be able to let go your identification with body and mind. So it's a kind of catch-22 situation. Right? That is the reason actually it becomes difficult to transcend Maya, to transcend mind. So both the things should go simultaneously. You are withdrawing yourself from the mind and body and meditating on God simultaneously. And then over a period of time, it will happen when you succeed completely detaching yourself from the body, and you will attain super consciousness. So you have to cajole the mind, you have to convince the mind. This is not annihilation, this is expansion into the infinite. This is not becoming zero, it is becoming everything. So zero and the infinite are almost the same, it appears here. Almost the same. So emptying oneself of this ego sense means expanding into the infinite. This ego sense actually is blocking. There is only one will, the will of the Lord, that is finding expression through all the forms in this universe. But here in between actually this fictitious will, human will, individualized will has come into existence, which is unreal, which is because of Maya, and you drop that. It's very close to us, God is very close to us, but to drop this, a lot of preparation is required. The ego has actually many tentacles. It has an uncanny knack of survival. You cut it here, it will spring up there. There you cut it, actually it will appear another way. In another form it will appear. So it requires a lot of sadhana, a lot of dispassion. So when dispassion is the only asangasa strena drudhena chitva, the Lord says in the Gita, to total detachment, complete detachment, okay, with that as a sword, with detachment as a sword, with dispassion as a weapon. When you cut it at its root, the ego sense will disappear. Then you experience the truth. Oh, it's a journey. We are all on the journey. Everybody will come to God one day, sooner or later. But how quickly you want to have God? To our choice. Everybody can decide for himself. You want the Lord in this birth itself, or you are not in such a hurry. I have so many things to do in this world. God is not my immediate priority. Nobody can force this goal upon you of knowing yourself. Basically, our philosophy asks us to turn inward to know ourselves, to pay attention to our own experience, how experience is happening in me, whether painful or pleasurable. So basically, we have to study ourselves, basically we have to look at ourselves. But we are afraid to look at ourselves. Then definitely we are a psychological case, right? We are not asking you to study somebody else. We are not asking you, actually scriptures are not asking you to look at somebody else. Scriptures are asking you to look at yourself. Who are you? Who am I? That is inquiry in Vedanta. Self-inquiry, swadhyaya. Who am I? How actually the experience of the universe is happening in me. What is the source of experience? What is the source of the universe? It is the mind. What is mind? Based on ego sense. Drop that and see what happens. Theoretically, it is that simple. But to bring the self into our experience, the only thing is highest dispassion is required. And to cultivate this dispassion, practice is required. It will happen over a period of time. So it's basically the same thing, more or less. Okay? But if all these talks help you actually to develop little dispassion and to progress towards truth a bit, then you can say that actually our satsang is really productive. But of course, everything has its impact. Nothing will go in vain. Even listening, thinking, right? But as I said, that spiritual journey is a slow journey. Yes. If you want to speed it up, you alone can do that. Nobody else actually can help you. It's individuals who have to decide here. This journey is a solitary journey. It can't be, done in a group. Pilgrimage you can go in a group, but this going deep into oneself, you have to decide for yourself. You have to develop dispassion on your own. It can't be cultivated by somebody else. Somebody else's dispassion becomes somebody else only. So we have to look into ourselves. We have to analyze our real nature, our real being. There is God sitting in your heart. Okay. The discovery is awaited, that's all. When you want to discover, choice is yours. Yeah, we shall stop here for today. It's 6:30. We'll meditate for a few minutes before we disperse.
मनातीत मनोवचनैकाधार प्रभु मनोवचनैकाधार ज्योतिर्ज्योति उज्ज्वल हृदय कंदर ज्योतिर्ज्योति उज्ज्वल हृदय कंदर तुमि तम भंजनहार प्रभु तुमि तम भंजनहार प्रभु वाक्य मनातीत नमो नमो प्रभु वाक्य मनातीत मनोवचनैकाधार प्रभु मनोवचनैकाधार ज्योतिर्ज्योति उज्ज्वल हृदय कंदर ज्योतिर्ज्योति उज्ज्वल हृदय कंदर तुमि तम भंजनहार प्रभु तुमि तम भंजनहार लंग रंग भंग भाजे अंग संग मृदंग लंग रंग भंग भाजे अंग संग मृदंग गाय छंद भक्त वृंद आरती तोमार गाय छंद भक्त वृंद आरती तोमार जय जय आरती तोमार हर हर आरती तोमार शिव शिव आरती तोमार खांडना भव बंधना जगवंदना वंदे जय श्री गुरु महाराज जी की जय। ॐ ह्रीं ऋतं त्वमचलो गुणजेद्गुणेड्यः नक्तं दिवं सकरुणं तव पादपद्मं मोहं कर्षं बहुकृतं न भजे यतोऽहं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो भक्तिर्भगश्च भजनं भवभेदकारे गच्छन्ति सुविपुलं गमनाय तत्त्वं वक्त्रोद्धृतोऽपि हृदये न च भाति किञ्चित् तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो तेजस्तरन्ति तरसा त्वयि तृप्ता तृष्णा रागे कृते ऋतपथे त्वयि राम कृष्णे मर्त्यामृतं तव पदं मरणोर्मि नाशं तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो कृत्यं करोति कलुषं कुहकान्तकारे स्नान्तं शिवं सुविमलं तव नाम नाथ यस्मादहं त्वशरणो जगदेक गम्या तस्मात् त्वमेव शरणं मम दीनबन्धो ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्म स्वरूपिणे अवतार वरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। ॐ नमः श्री भगवते रामकृष्णाय नमो नमः। सर्वमङ्गल माङ्गल्ये शिवे सर्वार्थ साधिके शरण्ये त्र्यम्बके गौरी नारायणे नमोऽस्तुते। सृष्टि स्थिति विनाशाना शक्ति भूते सनातने गुणाश्रये गुणामये नारायणे नमोस्तुते शरणागता दीनार्ता परित्राण परायणे सर्वस्यार्थे हरे देवी नारायणे नमोस्तुते जय नारायणी नमोस्तुते जय नारायणी नमोस्तुते जय नारायणी नमोस्तुते जय नारायणी नमोस्तुते। प्रकृतिं परमां अभयां वरदां नररूपधरां जनतापहरां शरणागतसेवकतोषकरीं प्रणमामि परां जननीं जगतां गुणहीनसुताम् अपराधयुतां कृपयाद्य समुद्धर मोहगतां तरणीं भवसागरपारकरीं प्रणमामि परां जननीं जगतां विषयं कुसुमं परिहृत्य सदा चरणाम्बुरुहामृतशान्तिसुधां पिब बृन्दमनो भवरोगहरां प्रणमामि परां जननीं जगतां कृपां कुरु महादेवी सुतेषु प्रणतेषु च चरणाश्रयदानेन कृपामयी नमोस्तुते लज्जापटावृते नित्यं शारदे ज्ञानदायिके पापेभ्यो न सदा रक्ष कृपामयी नमोस्तुते रामकृष्णगतप्राणां तन्नाम श्रवणप्रिया तद्भावया रञ्जिताकारा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः पवित्रं चरितं यस्याः पवित्रं जीवनं तथा पवित्रता स्वरूपिण्यै तस्यै कुर्मो नमो नमः। देवीं प्रसन्नां प्रणतार्तिहन्त्रीं योगेन्द्रपूज्यां युगधर्मपात्रीं तां शारदां भक्तिविज्ञानदात्रीं दयास्वरूपां प्रणमामि नित्यं। स्नेहेन बध्नासि मानोस्मरेयं दोषानशेषान् सगुणीकरोषि आहेतुनानो दयसे सदोषान् स्वाङ्के गृहीत्वा यदिदं विचित्रं प्रसीद मातर्विनयेन याचे नित्यं भव स्नेहवते सुतेषु प्रेमैकबिन्दुं चिरदग्धचित्ते विषिञ्च चित्तं कुरु न सुशान्तं। जननीं शारदां देवीं रामकृष्णं जगद्गुरुं पादपद्मे तयोः श्रित्वा प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः प्रणमामि मुहुर्मुहुः।
Page number 7. शंकर सुवन भवानी नंदन गाइए गणपति जगवंदन गाइए गणपति जगवंदन शंकर सुवन भवानी नंदन गाइए गणपति जगवंदन सदन गजवदन विनायक कृपा सिंधु सुंदर सबदायक व्याजवदन विनायक कृपा सिंधु सुंदर सबदायक गाइए गणपति जगवंदन। मोदक प्रिय मोद मंगलदाता विद्यावारिधि बुद्धि विधाता। मोदक प्रिय मोद मंगलदाता विद्यावारिधि बुद्धि विधाता। गाइए गणपति जगवंदन। मांगत तुलसीदास कर जोरे बसहि राम सिया मानस मोरे। मांगत तुलसीदास कर जोरे बसहि राम सिया मानस मोरे। गाइए गणपति जगवंदन। गाइए गणपति जगवंदन। शंकर सुवन भवानी नंदन। गाइए गणपति जगवंदन। गाइए गणपति गाइए गणपति गाइए गणपति जगवंदन। पेज नंबर 39। भोलेनाथ सुर नर दुख हारे कौन कहे तुम विनाशकारी। भोलेनाथ सुर नर दुख हारे कौन कहे तुम विनाशकारी। भोलेनाथ सुर नर दुख हारे कौन कहे तुम विनाशकारी। विश्वनाथ तुम काशी विहारी मुक्त खंड में जीव उधारी। विश्वनाथ तुम काशी विहारी मुक्त खंड में जीव उधारी। बंधन मंथन विष तुम प्राशनकारी, मंथन विष तुम प्राशनकारी, सुरगणों का संकटहारी। मंथन विष तुम प्राशनकारी, सुरगणों का संकटहारी। भोलेनाथ सुर नर दुखहारी, कौन कहे तुम विनाशकारी। योगिराज तुम विभूति धारी, योग विघ्न से साधक तारी। योगिराज तुम विभूति धारी, योग विघ्न से साधक तारी। कपाल मोचन भव भयहारी, कपाल मोचन भव भयहारी। त्रिशूलाघात से यमदूत मारी, कपाल मोचन भव भयहारी। त्रिशूलाघात से यमदूत मारी। भोलेनाथ सुर नर दुखहारी, कौन कहे तुम विनाशकारी। भक्ति प्रेम के सदा भिखारी, भक्ति प्रेम के सदा भिखारी। भूतनाथ तुम करुणाकारी, भक्ति प्रेम के सदा भिखारी। भूतनाथ तुम करुणाकारी। पार्वती प्रिय तुम गंगाधारी, पार्वती प्रिय तुम गंगाधारी। आया मैं प्रभु शरण में तेरी, पार्वती प्रिय तुम गंगाधारी। आया मैं प्रभु शरण में तेरी। भोलेनाथ सुर नर दुखहारी, कौन कहे तुम विनाशकारी। भोलेनाथ सुर नर दुखहारी, कौन कहे तुम विनाशकारी। कौन कहे तुम विनाशकारी, कौन कहे तुम विनाशकारी। पेज नंबर 62। মা আছে নার আমি আছি, ভাবনা কি আছে আমার। মা আছে নার আমি আছি, ভাবনা কি আছে আমার। মায়ের হাতে খাই পারি, মায়ের হাতে খাই পারি, মানিয়েছেন আমার ভার। মায়ের হাতে খাই পারি, মানিয়েছেন আমার ভার। মা আছেন আর আমি আছি, ভাবনা কি আছে আমার। সংসার পাকে ঘোর বিপাকে যখন দেখবি অন্ধকার। সংসার পাকে ঘোর বিপাকে যখন দেখবি অন্ধকার। ঘোর আঁধারে মা মারে, ঘোর আঁধারে মা মারে, মা ভাই শোনায় বারে বার। ঘোর আঁধারে মা মারে, মা ভাই শোনায় বারে বার। মা আছে নার আমি আছে, ভাবনা কি আছে আমার। ছয় জানাতে একই সাথে পথ ভুলায় যে কতবার। ছয় জানাতে একই সাথে পথ ভুলায় যে কতবার। বিপদ হতে ধরে হাতে, বিপদ হতে মা যে করছেন উদ্ধার। বিপদ হতে ধরে হাতে, মা যে করছেন উদ্ধার। মা আছেন আর আমি আছি, ভাবনা কি আছে আমার। ভুলে থাকি তবু দেখি, ভুলে না মায়ে একটিবার। ভুলে থাকি তবু দেখি, ভুলে না মায়ে একটিবার। স্নেহের আধার কে আছে আর, স্নেহের আধার কে আছে আর। মা যে আমার আমি মার, স্নেহের আধার কে আছে আর। মা যে আমার আমি মার। মা আছেন আর আমি আছি, ভাবনা কি আছে আমার। মা আছেন আর আমি আছি, ভাবনা কি আছে আমার। মায়ের হাতে খাই পারি, মানিয়েছেন আমার ভার। মায়ের হাতে খাই পারি, মানিয়েছে আমার ভার। মা আছেন আর আমি আছি, ভাবনা কি আছে আমার। মা আছেন আর আমি আছি, ভাবনা কি আছে আমার। पेज नंबर 129। घूंघट का पट खोल रे तो हे राम मिलेंगे। घूंघट का पट खोल, घूंघट का पट खोल रे तो हे राम मिलेंगे। घूंघट का पट घट घट रमता राम रमैया। घट घट रमता राम रमैया। कटुक वचन मत बोल, मत बोल, मत बोल रे तो हे राम मिलेंगे। घूंघट का पट खोल, घूंघट का पट खोल रे तो हे राम मिलेंगे। घूंघट का पट खोल। रंग महल में दीप बरत है। रंग महल में दीप बरत है। आसन से मत डोल रे तो हे राम मिलेंगे। घूंघट का पट खोल, घूंघट का पट खोल रे तो हे राम मिलेंगे। घूंघट का पट खोल। कहत कबीर सुनो भाई साधो। कहत कबीर सुनो भाई साधो। अनहत बाजत ढोल रे तो हे राम मिलेंगे। घूंघट का पट खोल, घूंघट का पट खोल रे तो हे राम मिलेंगे। घूंघट का पट खोल। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। 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 श्री राम जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय जय राम। राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। श्री राम जय राम जय जय राम। जय जय राम। पेज नंबर 165। कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे अब मन, कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे। कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे अब मन, कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे अब मन, कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे। कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे अब मन, कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे अब मन। कृष्ण नाम की माला लेके, कृष्ण नाम की माला लेके, कृष्ण नाम चित दीजे। कृष्ण नाम की माला लेके, कृष्ण नाम चित दीजे। कृष्ण नाम अमृत रस रसना, कृष्ण नाम अमृत रस रसना, कृष्णवंत को पीजे अब मन, कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे। कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे अब मन, कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे अब मन। कृष्ण नाम है सार जगत में, कृष्ण नाम है सार जगत में, कृष्ण हेतु तन चीजे। कृष्ण नाम है सार जगत में, कृष्ण हेतु तन चीजे। रूप कुंवारी धरि ध्यान कृष्ण को, रूप कुंवारी धरि ध्यान कृष्ण को, कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे अब मन, कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे। कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे अब मन, कृष्ण कृष्ण कही लीजे जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय राधा माधव हरि गोविंद जय जय राधा माधव हरि गोविंद जय जय राधा माधव हरि गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय कालिया नर्तन गोपाल जय जय कालिया नर्तन कालिया नर्तन गोपाल जय जय कालिया नर्तन गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय केशव जय जय यादव जय जय केशव जय जय केशव जय जय यादव जय जय राधा माधव हरि गोविंद जय जय राधा माधव हरि गोविंद जय जय गोपाल जय जय 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 पेज नंबर 334 चेतन देव की सेवा करो नर जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो जन्म सफल हो जाए चेतन देव की सेवा करो नर जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो घट घट पूरण एक निरंजन घट घट पूरण एक निरंजन द्वैत भाव सब दूर निवारो घट घट पूरण एक निरंजन द्वैत भाव सब दूर निवारो चेतन देव की सेवा करो नर जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो जन्म सफल हो जाए हृदय अंदर मंदिर माही, हृदय अंदर जगमग ज्योत जगे उजियारो, हृदय अंदर मंदिर माही, जगमग ज्योत जगे उजियारो। चेतन देव की सेवा करो नर, जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो, जन्म सफल हो जाए। प्रेम पुष्प से पूजन कीजे, प्रेम पुष्प से मन दीपक धर ध्यान विचारो। प्रेम पुष्प से पूजन कीजे, मन दीपक धर ध्यान विचारो। चेतन देव की सेवा करो नर, जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो, जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो। ब्रह्मानंद उलट सुरती को, ब्रह्मानंद उलट सुरती को, कर दर्शन भव बंधन टारो। ब्रह्मानंद उलट सुरती को, कर दर्शन भव बंधन टारो। चेतन देव की सेवा करो नर, जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो, जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो, जन्म सफल हो जाए तुम्हारो, जन्म सफल हो जाए। पेज नंबर 212। शरणनु 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 वनवे, शरणनु 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 वनवे। श्री गुरु चरणमु नित्यमु मनसा, शरणनु 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 वनवे, शरणनु 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 वनवे। श्री गुरु चरणमु नित्यमु मनसा, शरणनु 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 वनवे। रामकृष्ण गुरु नी कृपलेख, తెలియవశమా పరమార్థ స్వరూపము. రామకృష్ణ గురు నీ కృపలేక తెలియ ప్రియవశమా పరమార్థ స్వరూపము శ్రీ గురునామమే నౌకయగాక శ్రీ గురునామము నౌకయగాక భవసాగరమును దాటగ పరమా శరణను 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 అనవే శరణను 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 అనవే సర్వధర్మముల సారము నీవు ఆనందామృత సాగర నీవు సర్వధర్మముల సారము నీవు ఆనందామృత సాగర నీవు రామకృష్ణ సందేశ గీతమే మోక్ష ప్రాప్తికి మూల సూత్రము శరణను 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 అనవే శరణను 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 అనవే సుందరవదన సన్నుత చరణ మంగళదాయక మోహ నివారక సుందరవదన సన్నుత చరణ మంగళదాయక మోహ నివారక రామకృష్ణ జయ రామకృష్ణ జయ రామకృష్ణ జయ రామకృష్ణ జయ విజయము విమల యశో శుభరూప శరణను 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 అనవే శరణను 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 అనవే శ్రీ గురు చరణము నిత్యము మనసా శరణను 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 అనవే శరణను 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 అనవే ఆనందదాయక పరమహంస ఆనందదాయక పరమహంస ఆనందదాయక పరమహంస కాళీ ప్రియా గదాధర రామకృష్ణ కాళీ ప్రియా గదాధర రామకృష్ణ ఆనందదాయక పరమహంస కాళీ ప్రియా గదాధర రామకృష్ణ ధర్మరక్షక ధర్మస్వరూప ధర్మరక్షక ధర్మస్వరూప శారదా మనోహర శాంతిదాయక శారదా మనోహర శాంతిదాయక ఆనందదాయక పరమహంస ఆనందదాయక పరమహంస ఆనందదాయక పరమహంస కాళీ ప్రియా గదాధర రామకృష్ణ కాళీ ప్రియా గదాధర రామకృష్ణ ఆనందదాయక పరమహంస కాళీ ప్రియా గదాధర రామకృష్ణ ధర్మరక్షక ధర్మస్వరూప ధర్మరక్షక ధర్మ शान्तिदायक आनन्ददायक परमहंसा आनन्ददायक परमहंसा कालीप्रिया गदाधर रामकृष्ण कालीप्रिया गदाधर रामकृष्ण आनन्ददायक परमहंसा आनन्ददायक परमहंसा आनन्ददायक परमहंसा परमहंसा जय भगवान श्री रामकृष्ण देव की जय। जय श्री शारदा माई की जय। जय स्वामी विवेकानंद महाराज जी की जय।